Why does the black man serve the white man? Why does everything the black man do benefit the white man? Why does the black man say freedom is doing what I want to do? And why is it that everything he wants to do enriches the European?
This is a psychogenetic war that we're in as a people. Meaning that the European is in a hypochondriac state of mind. He's imagining that he is being attacked, but he's not. They are very aware that they are disappearing off of the planet, and that they are set to become the minority as we continue to move ahead in time. They are set to become 52% of the population. 52%. And we know how patriotic they are and how they identify with this land as being theirs. They identify with it personally as being theirs. And their inheritance from their ancestors, their forefathers. Okay? Which is why, when it comes to that American flag, if you burn it, stand on it, do anything against it to desecrate it, they will criminalize you to the fullest extent of the law. And if they can, bury your ass up under the jail about a flag. Okay? And everywhere you look, you drive down the streets in the neighborhoods, you surrounded and bombarded by red, white, and blue flags wherever you go. See, we have to make the connection and understand where the strength comes from. Which is why the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey said people that are knowledge of themselves is like a tree without roots. But all the stock and the value that they take in their flag, why is they so happy about flying that flag when it's inglorious, when it's a rag, when all of the history that's attached to it ain't good? Ain't nothing positive about it. Number rape, murder, take, domination. The real authoritarianism, the real regime of totalitarianism. But as a people, we don't have the time that we think that we have. And in Europe, there's experiencing a negative birth rate. They disappearing off of the planet, which is why, as a black man or a black woman, you could come out your house with your hands up, hands down, or naked, and they still gonna gun you down. Because this is not a moral war. This is a war strictly for survival and power. And the insurance that their children will forever be on top, and no black is never over them. You see, the stage that we is in collectively is nothing less than the fear of a black planet. The fear of a black planet. So they put out a lot of symbolism and codes that we don't pick up on, but we think that it's for us. But it's not. It's a subtle message and communication to the European to get ready to defend and make sure that the black man and the black woman and the black nation do not rise. It's cues. And one of the biggest cues that I would like to build on is that birth of a nation that was based on Bob Nat Turner. But the birth of a nation was a film that was put out in 1915 by Dwight Griffin, The Birth of a Nation. And it was the Hollywood first major film. But the film was like a parody, or almost like a comedy skit, reversing the roles to say, if this happens, what if this happens? And they were showing black people in the first birth of a nation in roles of power. Black people had all of the roles of power in the cabinets and the government. In 1915, The Birth of a Nation. This film, they describe it as resuscitating and reblowing life into the Klan. Okay? But that was a cue for them to get on code And they re-released the movie again with The Birth of a Nation, with the same title. They know we ain't rising up in that spirit, eliminating them. We ain't doing that. But that was just a message to them to say, hey, just in case they do, or they is getting smart, remember this, my white brother. We can't let this occur. And this is why it's still a concerted effort to make sure that there's not a rising of the black messiah or the black man. So breaking down the word Ku Klux, they mean band. The band ain't never been broken. The band of power, it ain't never been broken. So many of them put down the sheets and went into various aspects and forms of the government. So they wear suits. They make laws and everything else. But what I'm going to point out, to show just a concerted effort dealing with the black identity extremist label, which I don't hear a lot of people building on. Every person in the Holy Black family should know about the black identity extremist label. Dealing with the Department of Justice and dealing with Senator Jeff Sessions. Basically, last year they came with the black identity extremist label. And it's pretty much where they define the greatest threat to national security as the poor righteous teacher who is teaching education and knowledge of self and proactivity in defense to their people as the number one threat to national security. But we are down in all areas of society. They euphemistically call us disenfranchised. So meaning we not in power. But we the number one threat to national security. Because it's all based on and connected to capitalism, and capitalism started with the triangular slave trade. 1865, with the Emancipation Proclamation. Emancipate only means to free from the hand. And Abraham Lincoln said if he could save the Union without freeing the slaves, he would do so. If he could save the Union without freeing the slaves, he would do so. So here we are with the black identity extremist label, which is nothing more than a continuation. Nothing more than a continuation of the COINTEL program. Nothing more than a continuation of the COINTEL program. Today, it's the same thing. And we as a people, we are the legs on the table. The society is still based on us. We the legs under the table. So yes, we the number one threat. Because the moment in the day that we wake up and really start living black, supporting black, thinking black, and everything else, the whole American government Western system, it will implode. It will self-implode. So they cannot afford to let us go. This is why we're the number one threat, because there's no economy, there's no system. There's no profit without us. And so this is why right now, as a people, this is our time. And right here, I deliver and sharing this message in Minnesota, where the precious blood of our brother George Floyd is fresh and was spilled by way of an extrajudicial lynching, murder, and assassination. All this right here in Minnesota. I didn't say Mississippi. I said Minnesota. George Floyd, Terrence Franklin, Marcus Golden, Jamar Clark, Philando Castile, Cordell Handy, and even in Edina, Lonnie B. Thompson, Black Man Can't Walk. All this stuff is reminiscent of what people identified yesterday and say it's no more. But here we are, it's the same fight, the same struggle, fighting for the same things. In Minnesota, right here, held our dear ancestor, Drè Scott, captive as a slave, what they call a fort. But for the black man, it was a prison. It was a hell. And Drè Scott was held there. And so we have the infamous Drè Scott decision, March 6, 1857, where Judge, his name ain't even important right now, but the judge has said that the black man have no rights, that the white man is obligated to respect, and that it's understood at the framing of the Constitution, the black man was not considered. Right here in Minnesota, Drè Scott was held. But here we are today in Minnesota, and the theme is, I can't breathe. We can't breathe. See? Hey, we're going to go ahead and get to the real core of the issue of the asphyxiation. What is choking and really suffocating the black man and black woman and child in the black nation? Yeah. And so, a lot of stuff was burnt up here in Minnesota recently due to the reaction and revolt against injustice and the slaughtering and the extrajudicial lynching of our brother George Floyd. A lot of stuff was burnt. But everybody knows that a lot of that stuff that burnt and was set on fire, set ablaze, it wasn't done by the black man and the black woman. So dealing with this revolution that is in motion, it's still working things that have to be done. And it's great that some things did not burn down. Like Cup Foods. Cup Foods is the place that set in motion the assassination and the extrajudicial lynching of George Floyd. So we dealing with the I can't breathe and we can't breathe. But what is the real asphyxiation of the nation that is choking out the black man and black woman and the black family? And it's good that everything and some things that did not burn to the ground, like the Cup Foods, that set in motion the extrajudicial killing of our brother George Floyd over an alleged passing of a fake $20 bill. $20 is a very paltry sum of money. But the truth is, and we know, that if George Floyd would have been an Arab, or if he would have been a European or white, or if he would have been an Indian, okay, if they would have seen George Floyd as their Ibn, as their son, as their Bint, as their daughter, as their Aki, or brother, they would not act in such vehemence and lust and malice for blood as seeing this brother get hurt and apprehended. Anybody in 2020 who called the police on the black man and black woman knows what is possible and liable to happen. And that's so that phone call was placed because they could not tolerate the audacity or the boldness or the idea of the black man getting out on them. So that call was made. Not for no saving grace or for that brother's protection, but it was for the checking and the correction and establishing and putting down the law and the spirit of dominance. And to say, you gonna learn. So it's good some things didn't burn because now the will of the people could really be exercised. You see, it's good some things die a slow death. Die a good slow death. So it's good that it was left standing so that the will of the people could really be exercised. And they could make sure that it meet a slow demise, but not pouring in those black dollars by letting it go. That death right there is divine and timely. So this is strictly about the will of the people. And in addition to that, I don't even know how I learned so much information. But it come to me dealing with allegations of sexual misconduct, sexual assault, and disrespecting of the black woman. Okay? I'm going to use the word allege. But I believe my people. I went up there respectfully, but yet as a man, to Cup Foods, and I spoke to Mike or to Mahmoud about what I had been hearing about the disrespect, the wanton disrespect of black women at Cup Foods. Of course, it was denied. Okay? And he kept emphasizing that we've been here 30 years. Ask the customers. You see, he thinks, or Cup Foods think, because they've been there 30 years, that that's a sign of them not doing no wrong. And that if they were doing something, then they could not be there because the people wouldn't allow them to be because they've been there 30 years. But as I say, right now is the time for the Holy Black family. And without Cup Foods being closed, the revolution and the movement in Minnesota is not complete. It's not complete. It's not complete. And this fight, as I say, is also about power and survival and the real asphyxiation that's choking out the black nation. It's the lack of economic liberation and being control over the communities where we are. The neocolonialism, the imperialism, the leeching, and the parasitic stuff. You see? And so we, as a holy black family, this is the most pivotal, powerful period that we is in as a people since 1863, 1865. It's strictly about liberation, power, and survival. Period.
I'm just for
Give it to somebody else.
Though, you know what I'm saying? Like,
now, I don't know what you're saying. I do know I told you to go on.
Okay.
And I'm not here for you.
It's cool. All right.
All right. Oh, yeah, man.